Welcome to the latest FMClarity update. I'm here with David Ceber, who's our business development manager from North America, who's helping FMClarity expand into the North American and Canadian regions, which we're really excited about. Happy to have you on this video, David. Welcome.
Happy to be here. Thanks, Eunice.
All right, I'd love to start off, David, with you giving us a brief outline on, what you're doing with FMClarity, how you're helping us expand into the North American and Canadian regions.
Well, I'd say my first goal is to really build awareness of FMClarity, and we need to really highlight what differentiates us from our competitors in this market space. Right now, we're an unknown quantity. It's great that we've managed to get our first sale in Canada,
Congratulations,
and
that's
we're
awesome.
super excited that we're going to the NFMT conference next week. So really, the key is to really meet people, engage and understand their needs in this market space. I don't believe that the needs really are massively different from the Australian market. Overall, I think there's a lot of similarities. We've done a number of proposals and quotes, and it's just a matter of really building that trust that people start recognizing the FMClarity brand, and they believe in it. They believe that when we say we are streamlined and a single source of truth, that they actually believe that that is the case. In a demo, it bears it out.
You touched on a lot of things there about FMClarity and the challenges entering the North American market. It's a bigger playing field, and we're playing with some bigger fish now. We've had a lot of
Sure.
success in the Australian market. We're working with Australia's largest senior living provider, Opal Healthcare, as well as many other massive brands. So now that we've really developed out the Australian market, it's exciting that we're taking on that next challenge with you on board. You mentioned things about wanting to build that trust and highlight how we differentiate ourselves from our competitors up in that region. What would you say are the biggest highlights in terms of how FM Clarity can serve that region, that market better? How do we stand out amongst those competitors?
The story of how streamlined the workflow is, how it minimizes the admin friction, I like to call it. There's a friction in admin where it's the friction between getting the job done and doing the admin work to do it. I believe our process flow removes that friction because it means you're getting the admin done and you're doing the job at the same time. The communication and the workflow for completing work orders is very streamlined in terms of it's minimally invasive in terms of the admin side of it. It's literally doing the job and documenting it as you would have to anyway for compliance reasons, and then uploading those documents to the system, and the system automatically files it where it should be filed for easy retrieval later. So that's one of the key components that we have that makes us stand out. But there are other systems that do have their communication internally. What we need to be able to highlight is the difference between their internal method of communication and their process flow and ours.
What would you say those differences are? How does our internal communication features stand out amongst theirs?
Well, one of the key components is that because we allow unlimited adoption within a client, they can have unlimited users, meaning all their contractors, all their internal staff can be on the system. That removes a lot of internal friction and bottlenecks in terms of getting work orders requested and work orders approved. The requester doesn't necessarily have to be an FM person. It can be a tenant. It could be another contractor, electrical guy. He notices something's broken. He can create a work order request for that item that's not in his field, but he can do it. That way you can have both reactive maintenance done in a very prompt manner, because the communication is very streamlined. It gets through to the FM or the decision maker, who can approve the work to be done, literally in a live situation. So it can be done within seconds, if not worst case minutes. It literally can be open the work order, complete the work order, close the work order, upload the service report, and upload the invoice, and it's all done within an hour of the report being generated. So I find that streamlined method and the fact that we allow unlimited users really will have a big impact, because most systems don't have unlimited users. You have limited licenses, and that means only FM people are on the system. So then everything is getting funneled through this one person, or it might be a handful of people, and it's coming from their techs, it's coming from other members of staff who are in different areas of their facilities who notice something and they report it, but they're probably reporting it in an email or a phone call or a text. And it's managing all those elements of communication, which can easily be lost or duplicated, that creates bottlenecks within your facilities management operation, and can stall. You end up with a backlog. All these elements of friction can really disrupt the FM operation, and ultimately, if it does that, it's going to impact on the clients or the residents or the people working in the space, who happen to be on the wrong side of that backlog. One of the big elements, once FMClarity is implemented, is that it can solve that problem for a facilities management operation. And then, ultimately, you want the facilities management operation to actually almost become invisible within the operation of the business, so that it looks seamless from the residents' perspective, from the other people who work in the space. It's seamless. I see a problem, I report the problem gets fixed, within short order. They verify that it's done, job's done, and everybody's happy because they can see that the FM team is super responsive. The place is always kept in good order. Everything's well maintained, and that way, you're going to get happier residents, especially in the senior living space. That's a big factor within the competition for senior living operators, the quality of the residents' experience.
I love what you highlighted about FMClarity. We have that unlimited user option, and it really opens up that bottleneck that a lot of other systems, we hear from FMs, all these other legacy systems, they're finding themselves with all the tools, but if you can't have everyone in the system to use the tools together, then what's the point? So FMClarity really opens that up. I love that you've highlighted that. And I love the idea of making things seamless, because I know if I'm in a building and I want something fixed, if I send a photo and it gets fixed the next day, I'm happy as can be. So yeah, it's
Exactly.
fantastic that we're doing that for those residents and helping the FMs get that done.
That's right. And it also helps that all our contractors, internal techs as well as the contractors, can be involved directly with the system and have that direct line of communication to, whether it's the facilities supervisor or it's the facilities manager who can approve work orders. They get that live communication. So everything happens quickly for them in a process that they would normally do anyway, like their service reports and their invoices. They're going to do those things anyway, and it's just a matter of uploading those into the system. And because it's mobile friendly, they can do that from anywhere, and they can do that in real time, and hence they know that everything's been done properly. They've finished their job. Their work's been approved. The invoice can be approved very quickly, and then it's down to receiving the payment. In some instances, that can be done also very quickly, depending
Super
on the
streamlined.
operation, or it's super streamlined. Although some people suspect there may be friction from contractors in using FMClarity, I actually believe the opposite to be true. Is once they experience that it's streamlined for them, then they're not going to have friction, because it actually makes their life easier.
Total game changer. I'm sure now that you're speaking with a lot of people now in the North American, Canadian region.
Yeah.
You're probably hearing some feedback from the people you're speaking with. Like you said, we recently did close a deal in Canada, so we're officially in Canada now. What
Yeah.
kind of feedback have you been hearing from people in the region?
The feedback has been very positive
Mm,
because they liked what they saw. They liked the easy process, the intuitive nature of the interface. They could see in the demos how easy it was to find information, to go to a location, to identify where an asset was, to store leasing information or other compliance information, test data or water tests for water towers, or a myriad of different requirements for compliance that they would have to fulfill. And it makes it very easy for them to get those documents in a situation where there's an audit going on. It's very easy to find them and retrieve them. And because it hasn't had to be double handled, it's
mm,
the originator uploads it to the system automatically stores it in the right repository for that information. So if you have an audit on your fire extinguishers to make sure that they're in spec, you can go to fire extinguishers and show all the test reports.
mhm.
And then you have the whole lot audited, very easy to find the information, all the numbers for identifying each asset in terms of extinguisher already identified. And the service provider can, if it's done by an external service provider who manages those, can upload all that information to our system so that in an audit situation, whether it's an external audit or an internal audit, the data is right there. It's like, it's a couple of buttons and there's your data.
Makes it
Audit
super easy.
finished.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It sounds like the feedback is super positive, and it sounds like, what they seem to love a lot is that it takes a very reactive role of facilities management, historically a very reactive role, and turning that into a proactive role, right? Where they can automate things, they can have things organized, they can get things done before it even becomes a problem. And they have it all in one place and they can speak to everyone at the same time. Sounds like some really
that's right.
positive feedback.
That's right. And the originator of a work order request doesn't need to deal with the tech who's doing the work. He just deals with the facilities manager or the supervisor who's dealing with that request and approving the request. The supervisor will deal with the tech will get the job done. Then the facilities manager or the supervisor can ask the originator, did the job get done to your satisfaction? Yes, tick. Job's confirmed to be completed. And the tech can say, okay, service report uploaded. And if they're external, invoice uploaded, and it's done. And it's quick. And even in a situation where you have to get quotes, you can quickly identify what's the most suitable quote. And if a facilities manager or a supervisor makes a particular decision about which quote to approve, they can easily justify their decision because the information is right there in front of them. If anybody audits them about how their decision-making process, they have the evidence right there.
What you said naturally leads into my next question, and I suppose my final question. And again, thank you for your time today for this FM Clarity update. What's next for FM Clarity in the North American and Canadian region? What's coming up?
So we have the NFMT conference in Baltimore next week, which is going to be really exciting. So it's a facilities management conference. So we're going to touch on a lot of different clients with different needs. We're a perfect solution, I believe, for any company that has an in-house facilities management team and is not in manufacturing. I think outside of that, the sky's the limit in terms of clients. So that still offers us a huge piece of the market that we can service extremely effectively. And probably more so than a lot of the systems that are out there, which people are, particularly if they're legacy systems, which are very either overly complicated for what's needed, and they're clunky. There's a lot of
Mm,
training. There's a long implementation phase because it takes people a long time to get used to using them.
mm,
And so for the user there, it's a clunky experience, um, and it's slow and it's tedious, and they can't necessarily do exactly what they want because it's not easy to customize the workflows as you want them, as opposed to the way our system works, where everything's customizable. A lot of these legacy systems don't allow a lot of customization, so you have to adapt your processes to the system instead of the system adapting to the processes.
And you mentioned that will be an NFMT in Baltimore next week. I
Yeah.
recall that you'll also be up in Tampa. I believe there's more happening this year as well,
Yes,
right?
that's right. That's right. In May, we're going to be in Tampa for the Senior Living Executive Conference. So that's really exciting because that is right at our target market at the moment in that senior living space. We believe we have a very strong offering for that industry specifically
Mm,
based on
definitely.
our experience in Australia and how well it's been received. And we're just trying to showcase that experience
Definitely.
and the success that we've had in that space. It comes down to their resident experience, whether they're getting the residents, filling the places in their facilities,
Hmm.
and that comes down to the residents' experience.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
it's very important for those senior living operators to have facilities that are extremely well run, where the facilities management um, is seamless, so that the residents' experience of any maintenance that does need to be done is extremely positive, done effectively, done smoothly, well thought out, and obviously very responsive.
Definitely. And like we said earlier, FMClarity does work with Australia's largest senior living provider, which is a massive
That's right.
deal. We work with so many others. We're so experienced at the implementation for senior living providers, and our software is just perfect for them. We have so much positive feedback. So we can't wait to service everyone in North America as well, because yeah, it's
Yeah,
very transferable skill. Australia, North America, very similar, and we're right to do it. So it's very exciting stuff.
absolutely. It is. It is. So I'm certainly very excited for these trade shows. The final trade show will be in Minneapolis, I believe, and that'll be in September. So that's another IFMA trade show. Yeah, so that'll give us three trade shows where we get to get the brand awareness out there, and all the follow up work from those trade shows. I'm super excited to make all the new connections and impress them with how good FMClarity's solution is.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be all over the US in the next year, which is going to be great. Everyone's going to get to know your
I
face.
hope so. That's right. That's the plan.
All right, well, I want to thank you, David. Thanks so much for your time today to speak with me, to give us this FM Clarity update. We can't wait to make waves in the North American region, and we'll see you guys next time for the next FM Clarity update. Thanks again, David.
Sounds great. Thanks again, Eunice.